We are here at Mr. George Fournier's house. George Fournier, I think, is a native of Fort Kent. I'm not sure. We're going to find out. But he left the area for many, many years. Moved back in this beautiful country here. He's ready. He's got his own plow, it looks like. This is the Adrien Jacques home, built about 35 years ago. Adrien Jacques was a town manager of Soldier Pond, town manager of Madawaska, and he built this home here. Mr. Fournier bought it about 7 or 8 years ago. We're going to find out. It's right across US 1. The old main public building is across the street. Casey Hall's a little bit this way. And on the 4th of February, we are experiencing a second blizzard. It hadn't snowed since December 15, but 2 days ago on February 2, we got hit with almost 2 feet of snow with high winds. 2 days later, we're in the middle of another blizzard. 3 inches have fallen already since noon. And we're expecting 10 inches. We'll go see Mr. Fournier, see what he has to say about that. Okay, we're here with Mr. George Fournier. On peut parler en français, pas en anglais, whatever you like.
En espagnol, aucun affaire. Je suis pas chez Vin ou bien.
Ben ça paraît ça pas, je pense pas. Mais George Fournier, lui, comment ça fait longtemps que vous êtes mouvé à Fort Kent, là?
Oh.
10 years, non?
12.
12 ans?
Well, but from the camps, yeah, I was another 10 years at the lake.
Which lake?
In Wallace, Eagle Lake.
Eagle Lake, ah.
C'est moi qui ai acheté le camp à Pierre-les-Heureux.
Oh, okay.
I had that when I was working in Connecticut.
Oh, you bought it before you moved here?
Before, yes.
Puis c'est que c'est ce camp-là, non?
Ben, tu sais, c'est que Madame Labbé était là.
OK.
Well,
Slybrook.
Ouais, puis Robichaud, John Robichaud's
ouais,
place.
Ouais.
Okay, they're my neighbors.
Okay, you still own it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, Mr. Fournier, we first of all, we always ask how old you are, see?
Well, I'm 81.
81.
I'll be 82 in July.
And you were born in Eagle Lake?
In Eagle Lake. Yeah.
Now, what did you do in Eagle Lake there? C'est une grosse famille, c'est les Fournier, Eagle Lake?
Oui, on était 4 filles puis 4 garçons. Ma mère avait un poste-fils.
Oh!
Avant, Elsie Dow. Elsie Dow a pris ça après.
Elsie Dow, ça, c'est-tu parent avec les Dows de Fort Kent, là?
Ben oui, le maire, ça, Alan Dow, puis les autres, c'est de la mère. Et ces petits bonhommes-là, ça venait chez nous, puis allez-vous-en chez vous, je lui disais, tu sais. Alors, j'avais un peu que les chars faisaient. Ils venaient chez nous, and they wanted somebody to play with. Well, I was much older than they were, but they, you know, we had the activity, we had the store with the panel truck and everything. We didn't want those kids around.
Ouais. Puis elle, c'était Elsie Dow.
C'était ma maîtresse d'école dans le 7e grade, ça.
Ah, à Eagle Lake.
À Eagle Lake.
So Ralph Dow and Alan Dow and Drew Dow.
Yeah.
T'as tous des petits bonhommes, ça, autour de vous autres, là.
Puis Elsie, elle, ben, son père scalait pour l'Iboppé.
Ah.
And that's how she got the post office.
Ah, okay.
My mother had it for so many years, but if you belong to the wrong party,
ouais.
When the president got in, you'd be out.
I got the same story from Sinclair, you know.
Yeah.
Somebody got the post office postmaster job because of politics.
Yeah, I knew. Her daughter's in Fort Kent here. Susan, she married. Anyhow, I know the postmaster in Sinclair because I had a camp there too.
Oh, you did?
You know that Roland that was a Baldacci pick there?
Ouais.
He used to plow my road.
Oh, is that? Oh, Roland Martin.
Roland Martin.
Ouais, c'est le garçon Valier, ça, je pense.
Ouais.
Hein?
Ben, la mère avait un magasin, puis lui, il aidait sa mère.
Ouais.
when he passed.
So, your mother was a postmistress in Eagle Lake.
Eagle Lake.
Puis ton père, lui, qu'est-ce qu'il faisait, lui?
He was postmaster. He was school principal. He was Elsie Dowell's boss.
Oh,
All the teachers in Eagle Lake, my father was a principal, and he was superintendent some years. After Louise Dufour, I don't know, you don't remember.
no.
Louise Dufour was a Madawaska, St. David native. So,
Oh, okay. So we're talking here before SAD 27. We're talking Eagle Lake had their own school system,
oh yes,
their own principal,
yeah,
their own superintendent.
yeah. And Floyd Powell and Richard Crocker used to say to the kids, I know who your teacher was, lass. The kids would be surprised. Tom Fournier. Because even in the 8th grade, my father taught the 8th grade. He taught square roots, which was, unheard of for eighth grade student to be taking square roots. And when they came to Fort Kent, they were prepared.
Wow.
Yeah. So
Fait que lui, he was like a principal and he also taught there.
yeah,
There was no high school in Eagle Lake.
no high school.
So they didn't go or they came here to Fort Kent or what did they do?
Well, like I went to Bangor, my sisters went to Portland and Mount Mercy in Waterville,
Oh, okay.
and they went to Senegat too.
Wait.
The oldest one, like Juanita, and I think my older brother Elmo went there for a while. He didn't like it, but then he ended up at St. Joseph in Canada. Yeah. But my father, before all this, the governor of the state of Maine sent him to Puerto Rico because he had went to this school in Boston, which was a very good school. And it was the Jesuits were teaching, and the governor knew that Dad had a good education, and he asked him to go to Puerto Rico. He went there with Mr. Joe Morin from Fort Kent.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, and Dad wrote the book. Dad wrote a book in Spanish and in English. When he came back from Puerto Rico, his brother was postmaster in St. David, Frank Fournier, and he had wrote to my father and told him that there was an opening for postmastership, and my mother to come up to take the test, and she did. She took the test and she had the high score.
Was she in Puerto Rico with him?
And yes.
Now, what were they doing over there from the state of Maine?
Well, Dad founded the education department in San Juan, and Manatee, they moved to Manatee after. And my older brother was born there, and when Mother came here for the post office, she was expecting the second one.
So we're talking now the 19-teens?
1917, 18.
Okay, now you were born in what, 25?
1921.
21.
Yeah.
And so we're talking a long time ago now, where your parents were in Puerto Rico.
Yeah, I'm talking when Dad went to school in Boston, right next to Harvard. He worked there at Harvard College too. That was in 1912, 1913. I have a diploma of him. You want to see it?
Yeah.
It's just here. Bangor.
The Jesuits, you say?
Yeah, those were Jesuits that taught. See, this is Boston Latin.
Now, there's too much light here. Let's do it this way.
That's where J.P. Morgan went to school and the Kennedys.
Archdiocese of Boston, Diocesan Catholic School Certificate. This certifies that Thomas Joe Fournier, honorable mention 1912, 1913. So he learned Spanish at this Jesuit school?
My father spoke 8 languages.
Really?
7 or 8, and my mother 4 or 5. And I speak 4 or 5, but not fluent, not like I used to. But you see how nice those diplomas was? This is George something, Lyons, like
Yeah.
Charles Lyons.
Yeah.
And the other one, I can tell what I'm. The signature too.
John something too.
Yeah. Yeah. This is
1920.
Boston, that's where the Kennedys, Joseph, you know, the old man,
Ouais.
and the boys, John and Ted, they all went to Boston Latin. And here in the book it tells you, that's the oldest school in the United States, continuous.
Still going on?
Yeah, Boston Latin. And J.P. Morgan went there.
Il était pas catholique, lui?
No, mais a lot of them, he was buried in Hartford, this guy, but he was born in West Springfield, Mass.
Oh, he was.
Yeah.
He was a banker with a railroad man? What was he?
He was even the presidents and everyone were afraid of him. He had so much power.
Yeah.
He bought all the railroads, the Gould and all those guys there. He went to Europe and someone gave him a hard time on the line. He bought the ship and bought the whole line. And he fired everyone.
Bon.
And he got his own crew.
C'est beau d'avoir de l'argent de même.
Why? Well, they were all afraid of him. See, it says about Hartford, Trinity College, Piermont.
Ça, c'est à Boston, ça, là.
Ouais.
C'est là qu'il était à l'école, lui.
Ouais. Oh. So where is it? No, I got it from a calendar. Can you read that?
Boston Latin School, 1635. Oldest
Continuous.
American public school still in existence.
Yeah.
Boston Latin.
That's February 13th on that calendar. And there it is over here, see? You saw it on my father's diploma, St. Paul's.
Church in Boston.
But St. Paul but it's still Boston Latin.
Mais 1892, 1893, c'était vieux.
Episcopal.
Now, so your father went to school there.
Yeah.
He came back to Eagle Lake or what?
Yeah. See, there it says, see, Boston Latin.
In school, oh yeah.
Yeah. Well,
Holy Christ, they've used it.
his brother, and bonhomme Larry Fournier, they went to St. Mary's in Van Buren. They had a little college there.
Yeah.
And Uncle Frank, Uncle Fred, and Uncle Joe, they all went there. My father was one of the last one. He had an old aunt that lived in Cambridge. And that's where that is, where Harvard is in Cambridge too. I took my father there after.
So did you see, when I was younger, I remember Larry Fournier. That was your uncle.
What?
He had something to do with the roads.
Road commissioner.
Road commissioner.
Yeah.
Now
Ray was his son.
Ray Fournier was his son. Bon. Ça connecte, là. On commence à connecter le monde, là.
Uncle Larry was the oldest in the family.
Oh, he was?
Yeah. And his mother, excuse me, his mother was a Thibodeau. She's a living saint.
She's,
no, she's dead now.
She's gone now, huh? Now, this picture here, Mr. Fournier, what is that?
This is Julio. I have the music of that. This picture was painted by Julio Romero del Torres.
Is that Spanish?
Yeah, and I knew him. I knew his sisters. They got a museum in Spain. The government, Spain, put up a big museum, and it's all his works. I had a Nina, child of Santa Maria. See a little bit there.
Oh, okay.
But this is is a real good. I had 26 of those rolled up when I came off. The first time I came back from Europe.
We better find out about, you know, the schedule of your life in order.
Oh yeah.
Now we're jumping a little bit, là.
Where I went to school.
Yeah, and all that, là. Attends, là. I want to go back a bit, là, to your parents, and then you were the second one, you say, in the family?
No, I'm the fourth.
Fourth, so...
Yeah, the two brothers, Elmo, the violinist, he played violin to the bands and all that. And then the other one was an MD, a doctor, went to Bates College. From Bates he went to Tufts,
Okay,
not far from Medford, Mass, not far from Cambridge.
okay.
And
Did he practice over here, Lee?
New Haven,
New Haven?
Haven, Connecticut. He went to Bangor High at the same time. The last year at Bangor High, the reason he went to Bangor High, the scholarship. He got scholarships every year. He was smart. Not like I was.
So, okay, now what did you do? You were brought up in Eagle Lake.
Yes.
Okay, so
And I worked in my father's store. Dad
Yeah.
had a grocery store,
besides being principal.
being principal, and the post office was there. And when electricity came, the first house that they installed electricity was our house. It was the biggest house in town.
Do you know what year that was?
Yes, in 26,
1926.
about 26, 27.
Yeah, you were just a little boy.
Yeah. But they had put chicken wire so people couldn't handle all the clothes and the new lights and stuff. And our house had a bathroom and had 3 stories. And when they installed electricity, it came from a little electrical company here in Fort Kent, I think Fort Kent Mills, where they generated that electricity. And for
There was one in Wallagrass, I hear. Electrical company on the Wallagrass stream.
yeah,
or
but
something.
this came from Fort
This
Kent.
this one came from Fort
Yeah.
Kent. So, so did you say where did you go to high school?
In Bangor, John Batts,
You went there.
with Monsignor, with Bishop Monsignor Gleason and Bishop O'Leary.
Okay.
Bishop O'Leary he took a classical course and I took commercial. But we knew each other, see?
You were there at the same time.
Yes, and I couldn't speak English.
Really?
No, I couldn't speak it. And then the priest that was teaching us, they were afraid I was going to run away, because I was like an oddball. Nobody paid attention to me because I couldn't converse with them.
How old were you then? Like 14?
I was 13.
13?
I got out of high school, I was 16. I graduated at 16.
Really?
Yeah. But the following month, in July, I was 17. And I had a job at General Electric at 17, mind you,
Where was that?
in Pittsfield, Massachusetts.
Right away.
Right away, that same week. My father and mother came to my graduation. I took a train to Pittsfield, Mass, and they took a train back to Eagle Lake. Yeah.
People travel by train then.
By train. My father never drove a car,
Is that right?
nor my mother.
So you had trains from all around
Yeah.
there. Fort Kent,
Mm.
connected with the rest of the
Yeah,
state.
whenever I went to see a dentist here in Fort Kent, I'd take the train and I'd stay at Herbie Noble's house, or my brother was in school here in Fort Kent. I'd stay at Mrs. Noble. She was making donuts in the morning and everything. Anyhow,
Now, did you say Herbie Noble?
yeah,
Is that the guy who crashed in
yeah, and the
his plane
Yeah,
around 1952 or 3?
I was in Connecticut. I know. I read in the paper about it, but
Yeah, he
I-
crashed right in front of my house there.
Yeah.
There was a wire going to Clare,
yeah.
electricity there, and his plane hit that, and he drowned.
Mm.
Broke his neck, I think.
Yeah.
So you stayed there when you came over and went to town.
Yeah, well, because I had to wait the next day to take the train, or in the afternoon sometimes there'd be a train and go back. Eagle Lake, Squapan, and,
So you're saying that people, let's say from St. Francis, from Eagle Lake,
we didn't have no dentist. We had a doctor, but doctor sometimes he'd pull the teeth, but this was something else.
yeah. So you'd come to Fort Kent by train.
By myself.
Yeah. When you're just a little guy.
Yeah. And even when I had the sliver in my eye, my father took me to Holton. There was a specialist, an eye specialist, Dr. Mitchell, there, real old time. And I stayed there a month, and I couldn't speak. I couldn't speak English. I stayed with the family there, and they must have thought I was an odd bird, you know.
Yeah. So this sliver, how did you get that?
Horsing around with the kids, il trouve qu'il un crapote, il a pris un crapote, il m'a tiré ça ça m'a fait ça dans le visage. I didn't think nothing of it. And my father took me to Dr. Kirk. And Dr. Kirk, he put a little yellow tin box on the windowsill. He said, "Don't bat your eye now." It was hard for me not to bat. You know, he was fooling around. He pulled a sliver out of my, it was right in the iris, in the P of the eye.
Holy mackerel.
He pulled the sliver out, but he says it needs, if you want to save his eye, it needs a specialist.
Surgery.
Yeah. So my father, no school that day, that afternoon. He didn't go back to school. He took me on the train and we went to Holton. And he left me there. But I couldn't speak it.
So this frog, how did a sliver from a
Well,
frog?
c'était sale, dans ça, la mort des échappes. puis du bois, puis
Ouais.
Ça fait, I had to live with it. Every day I had to go to his office, that doctor, and he'd put a few drops and he'd put salve.
Right on your eyeball.
Yeah, for a month.
Saved it.
Yeah, saved my eye. Dr. Mitchell, all that be
Well,
forever grateful.
I would think so.
Yeah.
So now you're 17, there on at Pittsfield, Mass.
Well,
Working
working
for
for General Electric,
What kind of work was that?
soldering.
Oh, you knew how to do that.
I learned on the job training. I learned it in a week and a half. I could solder any unit. In those days they were making for the Navy capacitors, all kinds of size, round ones, flat ones, and they had to be soldered around. And I got so good at it that I was an inspector for a while. I'd work, the foreman would ask me for overtime. I'd work overtime at night, and I'd correct their mistakes.
Now, we're talking during the Depression still.
Yeah, we're talking.
Mid-30s?
Yeah, 39.
And most people didn't have a job?
But I had two aunts that worked at GE.
Okay.
And she must have known the boss, or Aunt Josephine and Aunt Louise. They were Uncle Larry and my father's sister.
Okay.
Big family, those Fourniers in Saint David. Well, they owned all the Platin Fournier, no? It went right to the mills.
Really?
Yes.
Ici que les Acadiens ont landé, là.
Why? Well, you know, Fournier Siding, its name, there's two streets there when you drive by Madawaska. One is Fournier Road, and you got one down in St. David. Where the Acadians, where that cross is there, that was Grand-Père Fournier.
Is that right?
Baptiste, Jean-Baptiste Fournier.
Wow. They were a big family, your fathers.
Oh, yes. Yeah. I got the life history of them. And there was a Fournier that put up a cathedral in Canada.
One of those brothers?
No, not one of the brothers, but in our family. It's in my genealogy. And when he put up that cathedral, it was near the St. Lawrence. And a few years after, they had to move the cathedral piece by piece. He paid for everything. That Fournier, he didn't want no one else to pay for it.
Why did they move it?
Because erosion.
Oh, is that right?
The water
Was gonna eat it up, yeah.
So they moved it, and he's interned there in that cathedral.
Ah.
Him and his wife.
So now you're in Pittsfield, and you're working for GE, and you're. What'd you do? Where'd you go from there?
I worked for about a year, a few months, And then my draft, my draft over here in Fort Kent got a hold of me. They got
Wow.
me. I had to come here. I'd already bought a car. In those days, you know, I had a V8. I had paid, I think, $400 or $500 for, and I had to bring that up here to Eagle Lake and prepare for the Army.
You were drafted.
I was drafted.
What year was that?
That was in 40, 41, 42,
42.
I would say about.
So you had to go.
Yes.
How did you feel about that?
Well, everything's new to me, you know, and dumb, and
By that time you spoke English, though.
I spoke English because Thomas Nelligan, Father Nelligan, was a priest in Lincoln, Maine after, but he taught at Baps, and at recess time he'd come over and talk to me. He'd say, "Stick it out now, don't do anything wrong." You know, I was staying, that they were non-Catholic one year, and they made me move out of there.
Or where you were staying?
Where I was staying, because my father had to pay board and room,
Oh, yeah.
and they had to pay tuition because I was an outsider.
Oh, yeah.
So the principal was a brother, Xavier brother, Flavian, and he called me a few times, you know. They were afraid I was going to make a getaway or something. But no, but, you know, I had hard times with my study because I didn't understand.
Yeah.
But about 5 or 6 months, I started grasping on to what I should, you know.
At least to get by.
Right.
And then in Pittsfield, Mass, you learned some more just by
Yes.
working there.
Yes, exactly.
So now you're going in the Army or Navy or what?
Army.
Army.
Army. And it had to be Sylvia Gagnon, Charlie Brooks' wife, ex-wife. She brought me with my car to the railroad station here in Fort Kent. It had to be in Fort Kent. And my mother came along too. And Mrs. Charlie Brooks, Sylvia there, Maxine Page's sister.
Okay.
We were cousins.
Uh-huh.
I was a cousin to Maxine Page too.
She just died last summer,
Yeah.
huh?
My mother.
That was Roland Page's wife?
Yeah.
Yeah, a lawyer in town.
Yeah. And my mother was a guy on her side, see. She was a Michaud, but her mother was a Gagnon.
Oh, okay.
And that's how her mother, Maxine and Sylvia and Roberta and Silvio, they were, their father was a Gagnon, but Zoe, the town clerk in Eagle Lake for many, many years, maybe 25 years or more, she was a, she was a Michaud.
Yeah.
I think probably Frederick or one. Oh, there was that Tabzi woman, Aurora Tabzi, in Winterville. She was from that same.
Family.
Yeah, and those Michaud, they were all related practically.
Yeah. So they brought you to the train station. Why not in Eagle Lake?
No, it had to be in Fort Kent. I don't know. But the induction center was in Bangor.
Yeah.
But we had to come to Eagle Lake to board that train.
To Fort Kent, you mean?
Yeah, they had rules and regulation in those days too, don't forget. So now I went to school in Bangor, and the guys they appointed me interpreter.
Wow.
There I was.
As soon as you got there.
Yeah, and that's what most of the guys that were taking the information for the doctors and all that. I stayed there 2 weeks I was in charge of 45 men from Eagle Lake and Wallagrass, and we stayed at the Bangor house,
Okay.
and we ate at the Brass Rail.
Oh.
So I had to write the checks out, the vouchers. And when I got to Camp Devens, prior to getting to Fort Devens, two officers boarded the train a few times, and then they went over my record, see what I had done. See. They had accountability to all, what was spent.
Oh, yeah.
So we stayed at the Bangor house for almost 2 weeks, And at the brass, we go there at noon, and in the evening we ate there.
Brass Rails, is he?
Yeah.
Is that the...
On Exchange Street in Bangor.
That was not at the Bangor House. That's another...
No,
that was a restaurant.
Yeah, we had to eat elsewhere.
So you went to Fort Devens.
Yeah.
After that.
Yeah, and one of those guards almost shot me. Who goes there? I didn't know anything about that, you know. Halt! Who goes there? I kept on walking. I thought he was talking to someone else. And come to find out, he said, "Hey, stranger," he said, "you almost got shot." I said, "No kidding." I wasn't used to army life or anything.
T'avais bien commencé ton affaire, là?
A greenhorn come with the red and so. Well, anyhow, things happen like that.
So you went, did you go overseas? Did you
We
see?
stayed. They wanted me to go with the rest of the gang to Louisiana to teach them how to write and speak English. They didn't speak English, none of them.
You mean the boys from up here?
Yeah, some of them had never heard a radio. They had never seen a newspaper. They were in the backwoods, you know. They worked in the woods, and they didn't know. I tried to explain that to the doctors. The doctors they wanted the medical history. Did you sleep with your sister when you were young and things like that? Me, I'd put 5 sticks of gum in my mouth and chew and just hold back so I wouldn't laugh.
Yeah.
The questions and answers I had to give. And all day and even part of the evening sometimes. We had, 45 men, you know, the time it took.
Yeah. So you didn't go to Louisiana?
No, I says, I caught bronchitis going to South Carolina. From Massachusetts, we went to Camp Croft, South Carolina. And from there, I says, I'm already assigned to an outfit. I says, I don't want to break that. He says, we want to send you to OCF school, office candidate school in Bennings, Georgia. You know, because they made me acting corporal, but that never came on my record. In Bangor, when we were sworn in, they called me in front of and they says, you're going to be acting corporal for the rest of the men. But I never got the pay or anything. In those days, everything was Russian.
Yeah.
So, but to go to officers candidate school, you know, me just out of high school, and you know, it could have been infantry. They assigned me to infantry, which was I knew was a tough, you know, division. You had to walk and walk. And 2 months, approximately 2 months in Camp Croft, and
Camp Croft.
Yeah, Camp Croft near Spartanburg, South Carolina.
Oh, that's in the western part of the state. Near the Blue Ridge Mountains or the Smoky Mountains?
The
Smokies, yeah.
Anyhow, then we went to North Carolina, Raleigh, North Carolina, but it was Camp, the name, well, anyhow, that's when 2 of them, they hung themselves with their belt.
Really?
Yeah, we went in the latrine and there's 2 of them.
2 guys from where?
Yeah. We didn't know where they were from, Southerners. They didn't want to go.
Didn't want to go to war.
Yeah. So that scared all of us in that platoon, in that barracks.
So you were like 21, 22 years old, though.
Well, 20.
Yeah.
20 going on 21 probably.
You were very young to see something like that?
Yeah. When I heard about Pearl Harbor, I was in Pittsfield. I was living on Abbott Street in Pittsfield, Mass. And it was a Sunday morning. I had my little niece on my knees, and we were listening to the radio, getting ready to go to church, you know. So I met a lot of people in Pittsfield. You know, Marshall Field, he came from Pittsfield, Mass. The big stores in Chicago, Illinois.
Oh, yeah.
He was from Pittsfield. He died. a few years back. And that's where I met all those movie stars and band leaders like Artie Shaw and Glenn Gray and Glenn Miller and name them. I used to go to Williams College in Williamstown, Mass. In Poughkeepsie, New York. I used to have girlfriends, and I'd go dancing. I used to dance a lot, see. I met a lot of people that way.
Yeah, the big bands were real popular then,
Yeah.
huh?
We'd go to New York, the Glen Island Casino, because I had a girlfriend in Rockaway Beach, New York, Far Rockaway.
Right.
And every weekend I'd be over there, seeing her. That's where my cousin there, she was a showgirl, and she was in New York. And I'd go, they'd rehearse on Saturday mornings. I'd go watch all those models, models and actresses. They were in show business. Japanese on one picture.
Linda Gray
Yeah.
from Eagle Lake.
Yeah, but she lived in Bangor.
Non, mais c'est son vrai nom, ça?
No, Evangeline Boyle. Her father was the longest first selectman of Eagle Lake.
Now listen, I have a camp on Boyle's Point.
Yeah, well, that's them.
That's them.
Yeah.
Elle s'appelait Evangeline Boyle.
Boyle.
And she took the stage name of
Linda Gray.
Linda Gray.
And, you know, Dallas, they took that name too.
Oh, yeah.
They took the name.
Now let me see the other picture of her. Ça venait d'Eagle Lake. Ça parle au yob. Now she was in...
I got one here, but I can't take it out. It's everything else will fall. She looks like a Chinese doll.
She was in show business.
She went to John Baptist with me.
Oh.
And she didn't graduate.
Uh-huh.
She went 3 years. The last year, Billy Rose, the Diamond Horseshoe in New York City,
Uh-huh.
they were after her. She taken dancing lesson in Bangor, and the woman she was taking dancing from, Josephine Shanley, she just died here a year or two ago. She was 98, I guess. I remember her. I used to go there with Evangeline.
Now this was in Far Rockaway, you say?
No. My girl in Far Rockaway, it's something else.
But she, that's how you got to know the...
No, well, she was my cousin. See?
Okay.
A brat she was one. But she was such a good dancer that the people that owned the studio in Bangor hired her to give lessons to the younger kids.
Okay.
And she wing taps. I used to have to go have her shoes. Sometimes I'd take her to the shoemaker, her shoes that she did. Every big outfit and thing that they had in Bangor, she headed it. She was at the head of it. Evangeline Boyle, she was known at the time. Only when she went to New York City did she take that name, Linda Gray.
Oh, yeah. So you were a young guy, là, toi, puis tu dansais, puis t'aimais les femmes, puis t'allais pas...
Allait voir ça. Gloria Youngblood was Lucille Ball. Lucille Ball wasn't good enough. They took 12 of the best showgirls in the United States to go to Europe. She was one of them. But Lucille Ball couldn't make it.
To entertain the troops?
No, to go to Europe, the capital cities of Europe.
Oh, just to end the...
Yeah.
Yeah.
And when they were there, they got caught. Hitler marched into Poland in 39, I think September. And 12 of those girls were guaranteed their passage back to the States. But they had to spend about 6 or 8 months in England. How they escaped Poland and the Germans, they rode on those railroad cars with straw and bales of hay. They hid those showgirls there because they had performed in front of Hitler and all of them.
Wow.
They did all the capital cities of Europe.
Juste avant guerre.
Vienna. They were. She had those steamer trunks there, See, a dress like that comes about $1,500 in those days. That's a lot of scratch there.
Wow.
See, the same photographer. Eh?
C'est vrai qu'elle était belle, hein?
Oh, the nightgown. She had a big steamer. Trunks, là. And it was full of beautiful clothes.
And she was your cousin?
Yes. Her mother and my mother were sisters.
Bon.
And her mother lived to be 102 on City. She moved to Belfast after. She owned 10 blocks there in Bangor on Court Street. She had 52, 54, 56, 58, 60, 62, 64, and 66 Court Street. It's tout en brick. And she was, you know...
That was her mother?
Her mother.
Oh.
She left Eagle Lake with her. She was only 7. She grabbed her and left the old man because he had promised that he'd bring those children up Catholic. And he reneged on it. And her father was Captain Cook's relative. You know Captain James Cook? That was her father's cousin.
Oh.
He had a price on his head. His name was Cook, and he changed it to Boyle.
Wow.
Yeah, they were in Canada, and then he married their mother. She was only 14 years old.
That's nothing new. They used to do that in those days, huh?
They had 10 kids. There's 4 of them right near my grandfather and grandmother on the Michaud side in Wallagrass. 4 of their children.
So did you, coming back to the Army days, did you end up in, you went to officer school?
No, I didn't go to officer. I refused to go. I said, never mind, I'm assigned to this outfit, I'm going to stick with it, if you don't mind. But they could have made me.
Yeah.
Naturally, they could have. But they saw my point, too. I had a few little friends acquaintances that I knew, and I figured, well, I better stick here. Had I gone to Europe, this is what would have happened. I would have never came back, probably. See the way?
Yeah.
In Australia, we had our basic training. A year in Australia alone.
You went from North Carolina?
Yeah, from North Carolina. It was Camp Butler.
Butler.
Yeah. And just a week and a half there. So I was company clerk. I was doing all the typing, the rank, the serial number, their home address in California. We were there, Camp Stoneman there. There's a place, Pittsburgh, California, too.
Ah, oui?
Yeah, and they had promised us that we would have a pass to go to San Diego and Frisco, San Francisco. And they never, the promises were made, but...
La guerre t'a pris, là.
That way. The Japs were bombing Australia,
Yeah.
Darwin, the northern part of Darwin, and Tasmania, those places. And when we got there, right in Brisbane Harbour, there was a hospital ship cut right in half. And it had the cross on it and everything.
They bombed it anyway.
Yeah. Bombed the hospital.
So I'm trying to find out, you went from North Carolina to California.
California.
Instead of Louisiana.
Yeah. And we stayed in California for a week and a half, till we had 32 ships on a convoy. We went by the Hawaiian Islands, but we couldn't stop.
Oh, no?
But 4 days we had trouble in Oakland Bay there. There was something with the diesel. We were just at a standstill. But 32 days we just zigzagged.
To go to Australia.
To Brisbane.
Now you zigzag to stay away from the Japanese, is that it?
Torpedoes and everything.
You were not attacked on the way?
No, only when we left Brisbane to go to Port Moresby, New Guinea.
Oh.
5 days. Went around like that along the coral reef and on to Townsville, Australia, where we almost starved there. They had sank our ship.
Supply ship?
No, our supply ship.
The Japanese never occupied those places.
No,
though, huh?
well, they were at Moresby, and they'd bomb Darwin. Every night they'd come Port Darwin there.
In Australia?
In Australia. But we were in Brisbane. We were down, they call it the West.
Il y a eu des feux là, dernièrement, là, the outback.
The
Là.
outbacks, yeah.
Is that the capital of Australia,
No.
Brisbane? No?
No, Brisbane is only the west. The capital is Canberra.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
Canberra.
Yeah. So you were in Australia for how long?
A year.
1 year, doing what?
Nothing. Company clerk and training. Yes, we went on 35-mile hikes with a full field pack
Yeah,
and everything like that. It was rough
yeah.
for us, and we were just kids, for crying out loud.
So what were they planning for you?
Well, we got assigned to the Wisconsin National Guard. That outfit was spent more time in combat than any other outfit. And the Red Arrow Division, it pierced through every line. That's the way. And the Red Arrow Division, that's me and another guy from New England were assigned to the Wisconsin National Guard. They were all German, practically.
Oh, yeah.
Wisconsin.
Yeah.
But it wasn't bad, We were riflemen. I was in the infantry. But when I was at Camp Ascot in Australia, my captain was a West Pointer, Captain Rooney. And I did all the, they went on bivouacs, and I had to plan all those things. And of course, I had taken typewriting in school.
So that's your commercial course, like John
Yes,
Batch, that
yes.
came into good use.
Yeah, when we were standing in line then, who amongst you can do typewriting? I was the smallest in the whole battalion. I was one of the smallest guys.
Yeah.
Me and 2 or 3 other guys. So we had to, he picked me right away.
So you got a nice job.
I said, yeah, for a while in Camp Ascot. Camp Ascot was a center where the replacement center, more or less. You got assigned to different divisions. See?
You didn't use your French over there?
No.
Maybe there must have been a few guys who went there who were more French than others. They probably not.
Yeah. Well, there again, I made girlfriends. I had in Manly, Australia, a beautiful girl. She was in the wax, the waves. Lo and behold, after I with her about 3 or 4 weeks, I went to her house to pick her up on weekend, and the youngest sister was there, and boy, her and I, we connected right away.
With the sister?
Yeah, with the youngest sister. I'd take her to on Queen Street in Brisbane, the Trocadero, they call, was a nice day. And all the officers, they'd come, may I have a dance with your fiancé and all that, I'd say, well, it's up to her. I'd say, use your judgment. I says, you got to mind your own, say yes or no. But they'd ask me first. They wanted to be polite.
Oh, yeah.
And boy, she was a knockout.
Now, was she from the United States?
No, she was Australian.
Oh.
And her sister got transferred to Canberra. She went.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you say fiancé? Were you engaged to her? Or?
No.
It was just.
But those officers, most of them, they were captains and lieutenants and majors, and they didn't have no partners. Here we are, with, sitting like a couple, her and I.
Oh, yeah.
And they want to be manly or, polite. First they ask the man
Yeah.
permission, if it's okay. They don't want no brawl there. But it was something.
Did you ever get into fighting with all that? You were there a long
I
time.
didn't see hand-to-hand combat.
You
No,
didn't?
We were trained for it with fixed bayonets and all that. But when we went to Fort Moresby, don't forget I was in infantry. My legs started swelling. I couldn't put my leggings. We had leggings. In those
Oh,
days.
yes, yes, yes.
I couldn't even put a pair of leggings on. So at Fort Moresby, the hospital there, they shoved the needle and pulled out some serum to see what it was. They couldn't. They thought it was elephantitis or something, which it wasn't. It didn't go above the knee, but my legs were like that,
So both of them.
both of them.
Now,
So
how did it started by itself?
They figured it might have been the malaria bug. That's did it. But
Really?
They never knew. They were doing guesswork. So they transferred me from Moresby. There it was 115, 110 in the shade. And we'd be sitting like in Cuba. When I was in Cuba, it was the same thing. The water drip off your arms. Anyhow,
Just sitting there.
just sitting there.
Yeah.
So they transferred me to Sydney, Australia, where the 118th General Hospital was there. Now I saw some guys from New England there too. Yeah. We were flat on our bed. And we had a priest from New Hampshire that come over once in a while, to pray with us. And all that.
So how long did you take to get rid of that thing?
Well, it didn't. They were working on us, and they couldn't find nothing. So, stateside, good. They send us,
Send you back?
yet back to the state. But I'd seen MacArthur, I'd seen Bull Halsey, and all those guys. MacArthur, when he left the Philippines, he came to Brisbane,
Yeah.
and my girlfriend was a telephone operator, and she knew all that. And of course, in Australia, the railroad, the narrow gauge. I
Okay.
used to have to take the little railroad to go see her.
Oh.
And I could write myself a pass. I was a company clerk. I'd just 15 guys and would be entitled to go for a weekend. And I'd be one of the 15 often.
Oh, yeah.
In this guy.
You were lucky, huh?
Oh, in some ways, but unlucky in others. Boy, when you're on sick bay there, it's no picnic. Even on the hospital boat there, when, I was like a basket case almost for a while.
You mean coming back?
Yeah,
When you were coming
Yeah.
back?
yeah.
Was there pain with this swelling, or?
Oh, I could hardly walk, but I had to walk. When I was in Moresby, I had to have 2 GIs, one on each side. Otherwise, I couldn't.
Really?
Yeah.
Ça t'a arrêté de danser, ça?
Damn, man. It's a good thing I had my muscles. Even today, it gives me a little trouble because I'm diabetic a bit.
Okay.
And if I
Well,
would
yeah,
dance
yeah.
that much, boy,
Probably, huh?
yeah.
It's amazing that this is 60 years later and
Yeah.
you're still walking around. So that was the extent of your war experience? You came back here?
Yeah. This, just to talk about I used to come to the Blue Moon here, dance all night, and walk back to Eagle Lake.
Oh.
4 o'clock in the morning. My father would say, "It's time for you to sweep the." We'd put dustbin on the floor. We had a big wooden, hard floor.
In the store, yeah.
And at night they'd put the dustbin so to keep the dust. And at 7 o'clock in the morning, if there was no school or anything, I slept on the porch outside. I didn't want to sleep inside the house. I could all the nice fresh air and everything. But Dad would come, and Dad was very strict. Your work comes first. We used to like to go swimming with the rest of the guys. No, he says, you got your tes arbres, les 2-3 rangées, là, puis après ça, tu vas pouvoir.
Les arbres du jardin, tu veux dire?
Ouais.
Ouais.
Tu vas arbrer les 2-3 rangées de jardin, après ça, tu peux.
Aller te baigner.
Ouais. So he taught us work came first and pleasure after.
Where was the Blue Moon?
Right along in here.
Yeah. On this side of the hospital,
Yeah,
towards Frenchville?
They had the Silver Dollar. Too.
Silver Dollar, I remember that one.
And they had one in Eagle Lake with that name.
A Silver Dollar in Eagle Lake?
Yes, yeah. And Parent and George Martin. We had name bands from Boston would play in Eagle Lake.
Isn't that something?
A lot of guys, they think I'm crazy talking about that. I remember Bobby Hurd, and I remember some of the names even.
Came up to play.
Yeah.
I remember the Silver Dollar, and it burned down around 1945, I think.
One wasn't far from where the Ford.
Yeah, it's the Silver Dollars, je pense, huh? No?
Puis Martier, c'était un monsieur Martier. I went out with a girl from Milo, Maine, and she was related to that, the owner of that.
The guy who owned it?
Blue Moon.
The Blue Moon's just even before the Silver Dollar. 'Cause I don't remember that one. I've heard about it.
You know, a girl that I gotta go stop and see her when I go to Madawaska. Is Geraldine Peltzy. She married her sisters, they'd take me home with them because I used to dance and I'd sleep over. Boy, I was bashful, you know.
Yeah.
And Mom and Dad weren't too keen about that. But they keep me over there instead of me walking back to Eagle Lake. Harry Escovitz used to give me rides. And Tom Pinkham.
Yeah.
Tom Pinkham went to Orono him at the time I was going to Bats. And Thanksgiving I didn't have no money to take the train or anything. Dad wouldn't send me. You stay there. And I'd hitchhike. And Tom would pick me up, take me right home. He knew my father, you know, everyone knew. They wrote a book about Eagle Lake, and they didn't mention we had a grocery store. We had the biggest grocery store, and people were envious then too.
Now, is that building still there?
No.
No.
Philip Blanchett bought it.
Oh, yes.
Philip Blanchett was a student at my father, and Philip and my brother were the top student. My brother was smarter than Philip, but Dad wouldn't give him. That made Mom mad.
You wouldn't give him the store?
No, he wouldn't give him the honor.
Oh, I see.
Honor.
Well.
And Mother knew that too, and everyone else in the school, they say, well, Guilou should. They call him Guilou, but his name was Reginald.
Fournier.
Why? And he should have had, but Dad, no, he didn't, no preference.
When did the hospital get to Eagle Lake? Do you remember that?
They left Eagle Lake in about 52. And my aunt, my father's sister, Sarah Shendak, she worked, she taught school in Fort Kent, and Wallagrass, and Eagle Lake, and name it.
It in Sœur de quoi, que Sœur de Serre?
Franciscan.
But I was asking you about the hospital in Eagle Lake.
Yeah.
When did that start?
The same year that Pierre Marcoux built the convent in Wallagrass, 1905 or 07.
Oh, that old.
Well, they got the lumber the same time. They were getting the lumber from the Eagle Lake mills.
Oh, okay.
Pierre Marcoux was, I got a nice picture of Marcoux. And I got Lenog, the guy that baptized me. My mother says to my godparents, she says, you name him anything you want, that one. I've had enough. So the priest says we're going to name him after me. He told my godparents that. And he was Lenog, Louis Lenog. And my name is Louis. George wasn't even on my baptism. They changed that after.
Really?
My name was Albert Louis Jacques. You know, like Jacques Cousteau there?
Right.
And mon oncle, he was a Michaud. He was in the woods. He said, boy, you could give him some names. And my hair was blonde and like a girl almost. I got pictures of that. Mon oncle, he used to call me Petit Georges Dorin, like golden.
Oh, yeah.
Happy. Everyone that come in the store or at the post office, Petit Georges, where's Petit Georges? That's the name I went by. So Ma had kind of teed off a bit, but she wrote, Augusta, and in Portland, and at the rectory in Eagle Lake, they changed the name. It says George Louis. Albury they dropped.
They dropped Albury.
So George Louis, so P. Marcoux, that one, he baptized me and he named me after him 3 months after. He gets killed in an automobile accident. There was hardly any automobiles in those days.
Yeah.
1921 in October. I was in July, August, September. Yeah, October, about 3 months. He got killed. And
he was in the vehicle?
yes, he was a parish priest in Eagle Lake.
Yeah.
And he had a brother that was from Lewiston too. I think was Octave. Louis Octave. And not Marcoux, they Lanog. And I think they were from France originally.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, in those years they came from France.
He's got a monument in the Eagle Lake Cemetery.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
And what's his last name?
Lanog.
Lanog.
Yeah. It's N-O-G. I don't know if I got a master. And I got a big frame, one of those oval frames downstairs. If I took you downstairs, you'd shake your head. Says, yeah, well, I got stuff from the camp here and from my apartment in Connecticut and all that, you know.
So now you're back in the States, in the middle of the war, with your legs. So what did you do then?
Well, I stayed in the hospital for almost a year.
Holy jeez.
Yes.
Ça voulait pas s'en aller, quoi?
No. But you know where I stopped in Utah, Brigham City, the Mormons.
Yeah.
In Ogden, Utah. And boy, there was a guy there. He was up in the cast up to here, and he just could see his toes. And I could sing. I used to like to sing, you know. And I'd sing that guy, and the tears would come down. What was the name of that song? Believe it's true when I say I love. No, that's a guy that he taught in my school.
It's a sin to tell a lie.
It's a sin to tell a lie.
Well.
They had him in Baltimore, and the guy that picked Babe Ruth off the street was from Baltimore, but they taught in Bangor, Brother Gilbert, and he was the one instrumental in getting Babe Ruth. He says, you, a good ball player, you make a good living. You don't have to become a priest or a brother. And the other guy the same way. He says, you can make a living writing music or song. And he wrote, It's a Sin to Tell a Lie. But the other song, what was it? I don't know.
C'est qu'il y avait eu ce gars-là qui était dans la case de même.
Well, it's Pine.
Oh. So you never went back.
He was from Texas, La Rosa.
You never went back then in the Pacific.
No. I like Australia. They gave us the bread was coarse, you know, and I think we'd get up in the morning to urinate, and the kangaroos would be jumping around near our tent. We were 8 in the tent, and the bully beef. They gave us kangaroo meat, and they'd say it was beef. You know.
Oh yeah.
I knew better. I worked after when I worked in the meat packing when I went in Connecticut. After I got out of the hospital, my brother, the doctor, was working as a Navy inspector at Pratt & Whitney. So I went to work there.
Oh, in Pratt & Whitney.
Oh, yeah. I worked there 4 different times. I worked in the assembly floor. I worked and one of my brother-in-law was a general foreman there, Pratt & Whitney. We were making $85 a week, and he was making $1,200 a week.
Holy.
Yeah, see the difference?
Ça n'a pas changé. Encore de même. $85 a week, that was good.
Yeah. And because he was a fourth degree or third degree Mason or something. You know, me, I might be a little crazy, but the Mason is what defeated Napoleon, you know.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of people don't know that. It's just like they don't know that Roosevelt. I read an article on it too.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, and about the Lindbergh baby too. I've read articles about that. It wasn't that German guy that kidnapped that kid.
Well, there's a controversy about that.
You know, did you read the article that Lindbergh was going out with the sister, and the old man, Merle, was ambassador in Mexico. Roosevelt appointed him there. It was before that. No, it wasn't Roosevelt. It was another president. But anyhow, Charles Lindbergh met the oldest sister, and he fell for her. Her name was Anne Merle. And he dropped it. The young one, she had a breakdown. So.
That was late 20s?
Yeah.
Taft was president, huh? Wasn't it Taft?
Taft or Harding or one of those guys. Anyhow, when she came out of the asylum there, she babysat for the baby. Anne and Charles Lindbergh had that, Charles Jr.'s name on. Me, I used to sell the paper in those days, and I read, it was all St. John or Adele St. John that wrote the, she had the...
Newspaper where?
In Eagle Lake.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah. It was in 1932. So
there was a newspaper in Eagle Lake?
That's how I met Satchel Paige, the ball player. He played in the Eagle Lake team. You know the baseball player,
yeah.
Satchel Paige? And
this is,
one of her boys was a Blue Angel, you know.
Ça, c'est toi quand t'avais quel âge, là?
Camp Croft. I was 18.
18 years old. T'es pas laid, sais-tu?
18, 19.
That's a nice picture.
Boy.
Huh.
It says on back, Camp Croft, South Carolina, and that's where it was taken.
Now, this girl here is Linda Fournier, la fille à Ray, ça.
Ouais.
Elle mariée...
Ça, c'est mon pain sucré. I like her.
Elle mariée à John Sear, là?
John Pinette.
John Pinette, excuse-moi, oui.
This is the guy I went to...
You went to school with Bishop O'Leary at Bangor.
What?
He just died last year, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this is my farmer friend. I got all the families that live on Slybrook Road. I wrote them all down.
C'est qui, ça?
Ça, c'est mon chum André. André was in, ça, c'est Bud B, c'est. Ça, c'est André, c'est.
Oh, sur l'autre bord du lac, là.
What? How come? You're up here in the little hick town and stuff in my arms. Il y avait une main, ça de long.
Satchel Paige.
What?
You're working for the railroad, you say?
Yes, part-time. He do that in the summer.
Oh, okay.
And he was telling me and telling others that he played ball in the winter time. We thought he démentrer at that time, you know. We didn't believe that. And night, especially at night, they had those lights. He played in Cuba, he played in Mexico. In the winter, he'd go there.
Because he was black, he couldn't play in this country.
Yeah.
But he'd play in Mexico.
But he played for the Cleveland Indians.
At the end of his career, yeah.
And this Robinson, Jackie Robinson,
yeah,
more or less broke the line because I think Branch Rickey or whatever gave him a shove, a push.
I think it was 1947.
But that Satchel Paige,
he had a big hand, you say?
Oh, a big hand in his foot. That's how he got his name, Satchel.
Oh.
I'm going to tell you some interesting stories about him, if you want to listen. Anyhow, he'd be pitching, he'd play any... Dr. Kirk said, that guy played Major League ball somewhere. He couldn't pinpoint just where. And we didn't. Eddie Belanger is still alive today.
Yeah.
Eddie Belanger played on second base. And Satchel, he'd be in the field or he'd be pitching. The guy'd be at bat. he'd bat a ball and he'd have his glove in this hand and he'd catch the ball with his bare hand.
Il était-tu gros à part ça? Il était
Gros
grand?
puis grand.
Ouais.
Puis il courait vite. Puis Kirk disait, for a black guy to run that fast, he said, that guy's had experience somewhere.
Yeah.
Puis là, we were playing the Fort Kent team and we were beating them that summer. The Fort Kent team never won. He was a one-man team. Puis là, il s'assisait sur une boîte de soda pop, là, c'est fait en bois, ça,
Oui.
dans le temps, là.
De ce temps-là, ouais.
Là, il y a un gars, puis moi, le gardien de curiosité, on n'avait pas vu du monde noir in our life.
Non.
So I tell him, comment se fait ça? Tu ne regardes pas la front page? No, he go in the sports. He knew all those guys he was reading about.
Oh, yeah.
So, anyhow, come to find out, when I went to Connecticut, I seen all the stories about him and pictures. I got them. I kept some of them. I got and he told the sports writer, why he didn't know his age. And his mother was living in Alabama or Mississippi, what have you. She had a little night table next to her bed, and the floors were dirt floor. They were poor, they were slaves. But the mother recorded the birth of her children in the Bible. She had a Bible and kept that Bible on that nightstand. And lo and behold, he says, they had goats around, and he come and he knocked the table down and the Bible on the floor, and he ate some of the leaves from the Bible. The goats, they can eat anything, and that's how the recorded dates of the hymn there was not recorded anymore.
It's true that they didn't know how old he was,
Yeah.
huh?
So no one knew his age, and that's the story he used to tell. He didn't tell me that, but he told me about the night ball, and I'm talking now in 37, 38 maybe, or no, it was earlier than that because I was in high school. 39, in 34, 33, 34, and he came 2 years. And you never saw him after that. But you read, I have newspaper clippings from Hartford.
So
I used to tell people, I said, I used to sell the paper to that guy. They didn't believe me.
Montre-moi ton portrait quand you delivered the paper for the Bangor Daily. We saw that a while ago.
Yeah, but the real one without a reflection.
So this is you delivering the Bangor Daily in
August 1926, 27. August 1926, I think.
In Eagle Lake.
Yeah. Yeah, I used to sell paper to George Quigley. George Quigley was my last customer near the railroad. George
Is that right? So this is your father and your mother.
Yes.
And you're not even born.
Yes, that's me.
Oh, that's you.
That's Rosemarie. That's me and Gloria.
Oh. Ton père, comment il casse.
Ouais. Ben.
That's what they used to wear.
Yeah, I used to kid him. I said, you look like a gangster.
Now, this is in Puerto Rico, you say, huh?
No, this was taken. You see the background? The same background as this picture at home in Eagle Lake.
Oh, that's in your
Les
house.
panneaux de grange. Non.
Ah.
Les panneaux de grange.
Ah.
There's Dad here in Puerto Rico. Yeah. No, he was probably 25, 26 years old.
Il s'appelait comment encore, Tom?
Ouais, Tom Fournier.
Tom Fournier, puis c'était le frère à Larry Fournier, ça.
Mais c'est deux bébites différentes.
So, you mentioned at first, Mr. Fournier, that your father knew 7 languages?
Yeah.
And you learned 4, somehow. You learned,
yeah.
Spanish?
I lived first of all, in Cuba, but in Spain. I lived in Spain for 2.5 years.
What were you doing there?
Just bullfighting.
Huh?
Bullfighting.
You?
Yes, throwing the bulls.
Did you?
The bullfight, I knew how the bullfight. All my friends were bullfighters.
You went to Cuba?
Yeah.
And what were you doing in Cuba?
My ex-wife came from Cuba.
Okay, so now, attends, là, we're in, you're working for Pratt Whitney after the war, là?
Yeah.
And where did you meet her?
In Hartford. She came for a 30-day pass. And she overstayed her pass.
Bon.
And me coming out of the service, I saved her neck by marrying her.
Oh.
Immigration says she's got to go spend 6 months at Ellis Island or one of the detention places because she overstayed her pass.
Okay.
But you being a veteran, he says, if you're agreeing on marrying her, I says, I didn't even propose or anything, but he's the one that did it, you know. And we went over to immigration. He said, well, I was almost 27. And I said, well, it's about time I get hooked up, I suppose. And, you know, she looked like Anna Connie, you know, the one on Mount Swelt there.
Okay.
The little Mexican.
T'es belle?
Dead ringer. I got a picture of her.
Tu vrai?
Va
Va chercher ça.
Hartford. She was a queen
Oh.
on the first float.
Tobacco Festival.
Yeah, the first tobacco cigar festival. They grew cigar leaves for.
So Connecticut was a tobacco place.
Yes.
They grew a lot of tobacco in Connecticut. I didn't know that. Ça, c'est vous autres, cela.
Ça, c'est moi puis elle, ça.
Holy boyski. Hey, that's a beautiful
Or
woman.
she could sing and dance too, just like Anna Connie.
And that's you.
That's me.
You were 27.
Yeah.
She does look like that girl on Lawrence Welk, all right.
Callahan used to say, well, that's a dead image. But there she doesn't, not too much, but.
Oh, she does look like
her. She was a good
does.
dancer. She was a good.
Yeah.
You know. I got pictures.
So how long did you stay married to her?
5.5. And I saved her neck by not going to Ellis Island.
Okay.
She had no clothes. I bought her a fall, and one for the summer and one for the winter, 3 coats. And of course I was older and I was working. So she's a seamstress. She made her father a tailor-made suit at 14 years old. And she was a good, she was no drawback to me. I praise her. I don't have no hardship against her.
So you went to Cuba with her?
Later I went twice with her. She was homesick all the time. She should have never got married.
Yeah.
She didn't want no children. And me, being Catholic, and the priest lit in onto her. He gave her heck for not wanting family. And he senses that we were splitting. He didn't like the idea, and I didn't either, because that's why I never remarried. I met a girl in Spain. I wanted to bring her over here and everything. My father and mother, they were afraid again. And but boy, I had one there. There she is. She was the love of my life, that one. Don't look too good here, but boy.
C'est elle, ça?
Conchita Galvez Ramos.
Puis tu voulais l'emmener, puis tes parents voulaient pas.
Son père, lui, était un aviator during the Civil War in Spain.
Oh, yeah.
In 39, and he got killed, and she was orphaned. That's her there too.
Boy, you had some nice
I took her
ladies with you.
She never left Spain, and Franco at the time was giving us a hard time. It took me 3 months to get her, and 3 lawyers to get her a passport. I brought her to Italy with me and to Paris. In Paris, they wanted to hire her for a model. I said,
Because of your wife, what was her name?
Auristella Prea. I nicknamed her Prea.
Her name was Auristella.
Auristella,
okay.
Oristela.
And
I thought it was too long, so I said Prea.
Okay.
Prella.
So now you learn Spanish from her, was it so?
Not so much. I taught her English.
But you do know Spanish.
Oh, yes. Those are. Voyons. There's my mother when she was. La farm à Michaud, c'était Watergrass. Dishlall. My mother and her brother. Brother looks like Abraham Lincoln. I got all kinds of those things.
La farm à Michaud, tu veux dire Michaud Hill, là?
Ben, that's my mother's farm. That even John Martin bought the soil conservation. John Martin got that after a while, but he got rid of it.
So la grosse, il y avait une grosse farm, une grosse barn, là.
Bernard, that one didn't have no reflection on it.
Yeah.
Bernard built around Michaud.
Oh, okay.
All right.
That's in right on Watergrass Stream. Yeah.
You go up back there a couple miles, and
Yep.
that's where Mrs. Lily Baker, you know, my Tante Lily, the Skeeto there, and where the diathlon, that was Aunt Lily's land.
Oh.
She gave that to Fermina there, Wilhelmina.
Baker.
John Baker's wife there.
Right, Wilhelmina.
Wilhelmina, the photographer.
Yeah.
And that was Aunt Lily's.
Ah.
Yeah. Because Jesse, mana pen muna, you see la model school, you see la elementary school is there, St. Patats.
Right. I have a picture of that.
But that was Uncle Jesse's.
Jesse Baker, yeah. I'm still wondering before we get to the end of the tape how you became a bullfighter. C'est service à am.
Well, it's plat scared, but not for money. I do the butterfly class. And I learned how to do fast.
Where did you learn
I
that?
had the cape, you know, and I'd say, "Oh, handa toro, handa," and you swirl it around, and you have to understand a bull watch his underbelly when he breathes. You know if he's going to charge at you, or if he just. That's why they can kneel down and turn their back to him, and the bull will not move.
But how did you get interested in that?
Well, on my spare time in Spain, I'd go to this university in Cordoba. Cordoba was the largest city in the world in the year 1000. They had no cars, nothing. They all camels. The Jews were there, the Arabs. The Arab occupied Spain to the Andalusia in the southern part. I know the whole history. The Arabs and the Muslims and Islamics and all that. That's where and North Africa.
Right.
Spanish Morocco, French Morocco. That's where all those terrorists are hiding. And the Bush and them, they should know. They know that Egypt is next door too.
Yeah.
I was there. I rode the bus to Casablanca with some of those Arabs with those big woolen shawls in mid-July.
Now, what were you doing in Spain?
Well,
how did you end up there?
I had a friend that he was professor at Madrid University, music, but he lived in Connecticut. And when he bought his house, I helped him out a bit. So he told me, he said, "George, you got to go to Europe." Well, I hadn't, I was sent in the South Pacific. So here I am. I'm about 5 months into Paris, not moving, just staying in my motel and, walk around Paris. That city I found the map of it the other day. I could go any place in Paris. It's a big city. Saint-Denis, puis Saint-Martin, les portes, là, puis les avirons, puis tout ça. Well, I went to Sacré-Cœur, Montmartre, and all Folies Bergère, and I got painting of the Moulin Rouge and all that, Some of those paintings come from Paris, too, that I bought.
So you...
But this is the priest, had that at the camp, and he wanted it, and I said, well, I had no sale. C'est Louis Albert qui was the...
Yeah, ça vient de l'autre bord, là.
Ouais, c'est Nadeau, ça.
Nadeau qui fait ça, yeah. Yeah. Now, I'm still wondering how come you went to Paris now, before Spain?
I figured,
You just went there to visit?
I just went for a visit, but I liked Paris, and But the people are not French. A lot of them you meet, they're not polite to you. They're
Les Français, ouais.
des Français, c'est des Scandinaviens, des fois, des Italiens. Les Italiens et les Français, là, ils s'aiment pas trop, tu sais.
Yeah.
Moi, I lived in Italy, too. I spent some time. I brought my Conchita with me.
To Italy.
Yeah, she had never, 30 miles from where she was born. Well, she Malaga. That's where this Antonio Banderas there and those guys, they come from Malaga. A lot of
Spain.
people, yeah.
So you went from Paris to Spain.
I went to, from, at the first time I went to Europe, I rented a Peugeot, a little French car, and I drove to Madrid.
Okay.
I drove to Algeciras. I was going to Gibraltar. Yes, and you know, Casablanca. But then, when I got to Madrid, I met those bullfighters, and they invited me to Andalusia. So I went there with them, and I got myself a pension, they call. It's a pension is a hotel, more or less, but not. You don't pay the full price. It's cheaper.
Okay.
And you get your 3 meals, and at the time I was paying about $29, $27 for my stay and my 3 meals.
Per day?
Yeah, that wasn't bad, see. And Franco would come, I could look down my pension there, he'd be in the square with a bunch, he was hunting boars, wild boars.
Oh,
I
yeah.
always had a party with him. Franco was strict. He came from the Basque.
Oh,
The
yeah.
Basque are different people than the Spaniards.
Yeah. They're always
Spanish, but
they're always fighting each other.
Mm.
So you started bullfighting with your friends there, just to learn the
practicing,
sport.
you know, just back then. I wasn't a bullfighter, really. Just, you know, practicing. They thought that I'd never seen an animal. I said, we had slaughterhouse in Eagle Lake. We used to watch them kill animals, and they have a thing where if you're afraid, you run in back of there, and the horns, you know, they'll hit that. They won't hit you. And there's a little partition there. So I practiced the passes, and then they have like a bicycle wheel with the horns of the bull on it, and they come and the passes, we practice on that. The guy comes towards you with that.
Oh, okay.
You know.
Boy, oh boy.
Well,
But you never really fought a real bull.
no, not for money or anything. Just, you know, the
They-
young bulls, once they're in the arena, they don't go for real later on. That only once they experience that.
The bulls?
Yeah, the ones that you practice with, they will not grow up to be.
Oh, okay. So you practiced with some real bulls, though.
Yeah, the younger ones.
Young ones, okay. So you learned some Spanish there. You had to.
My girlfriend taught me all I wanted to know all they want.
What's the other language you know? You know French, English, Spanish, and...
Italian, not much. I
Oh.
do know it because it's similar to French and Spanish. And I wasn't, if they came from the part of Rome there, beautiful, I understood everything. But you go in Andi or Florence, Florence is a lot of hard work, see. I like Florence. I like Naples. I was on the Isle of Capri. You know that Jane Clayson on TV there?
Yeah.
She's got the same ring I got from the Isle of Capri. I bought it for my mother. My mother didn't want it. She says that's too fancy. It's 3 pearls and it's up high. She said you couldn't even wear gloves with that. She was right. I never gave it to anyone. I still have it. I kept it.
So you spent how many years in Europe?
2.5
2.5.
altogether, I would say. I went 3 times.
So you, what did you do for work here in this country? How did you
Well,
earn
I
your
worked
living?
In the meat packing, I worked for Cudahy's. I worked for Hartford Provision. Hartford Provision, they slaughtered animals there. But we made all that fancy stuff too. I didn't. I was a salesman. And then I worked for Groton Weagle. Groton Weagle, I got a souvenir from them. I got asterisk. I'd be on the phone. I'd say, Groton Weagle. And they're two German guys, see? But they're beautiful. We were near the railroad station in Hartford, but they built a nice place in Bloomfield, a nice factory. And we had about, 30 Puerto Ricans working there. You know, they made Korv. Korv is a Swedish delicacy. They made...
this is meat now. We're
yes,
talking about meat.
They made all kinds. And I was a key employee in that. I'd go to the stores and I'd tell them, you got to get that out of there. It's outdated. Some of that stuff, you know.
Yeah.
And I'd buy some pork chops, and I'd measure the contents of the fat in each. Take a half a pound or a pound, and against ours. And I had the test tube, and I could tell. Hot dogs, if you want to know if it's a good hot dog with no byproduct in it, break it in half and put a drop of iodine. If it turns blue, that means there's starch in there too. There's bones, or there's a semolina flour. Semolina.
So that's how you earned your living.
I worked in the meat packing, but grocery store, I got my training home.
Yeah.
My father, I knew all the families in Winterville and Quimby and all that. I'd go there and take the orders in the morning, in the afternoon I'd deliver.
Oh, okay.
But we had Richard Blood work for my father in the store, and my older brothers, two of them, and myself, and whenever they had jobs for bid, you know, the town people, some of them were on relief.
Yes.
My father bid, and he knew how to. He'd get it every year, every time. See, Ernie Michaud and Tucker and the rest of them, never mind. Tom Fournier would get. We had the people there and the working.
So people would. What they call that?
Izod, no?
Well, for the people who were poor and couldn't afford the.
Izod.
The Izod.
Izod. The state of Maine would give him $35, and I had to typewrite everything.
What they got for that?
Yeah. A box of matches wasn't 5 cents anymore, it was 4 cents. We bid low. If
you had to...
you were awarded. If you bid lower than the other guy, you were awarded.
So all these orders would go to this store that was cheaper.
Well, yeah.
Mais that was not the town that paid for that? It was the state?
State.
Because
I mailed it into Augusta. I mailed them the list of what they ordered. But I remember when I was younger, ils disaient, Stia est sur le town. Il est sur le livre.
Ou il est sur la state.
Ouais.
Mais je me rappelle qu'il disait, il est sur le town.
Ouais.
So I thought maybe the town helped to pay for that
Well,
too.
the town were allotted from the state so much.
Okay.
And after that was over with, some years it directly to
the town would pay for those.
The town would pay, yeah.
Yeah.
And then that is like Uncle Arthur Boyles. On va aller sur le bail. Il disait les Français, on va aller sur le bail. No. He wouldn't feel un ordre.
Arthur Boyle.
He didn't say Arthur Boyles. He'd say Arthur Boyle. On is Arthur Boyle. Papa too. My father was town selectman, and a lot of them were envious of my father, because he was a well-educated. Puis ça se tenait pas avec les autres. Puis nothing. No, he didn't bother with.
How big was Eagle Lake then? Was it bigger than now?
Oh yes, it was over 2,000.
Over 2,000 in Eagle Lake.
There was 3 mills. There was a mill for the les planches, no?
Yeah.
And one for the Bordeaux.
Okay.
And one for the American Thread Company, the spools. That was for the woman.
Okay.
That mill was strictly for women. They made the wooden spools for the thread.
Okay.
And that was quite a mill.
Really?
Yeah, it burnt down, and all the cement stagings we used to play on that.
Now, what was the one that became a motel there? The old Mill Marina, that burned down just a few years ago.
Yeah, well, in those days, that's where the moulin à planche, je dirais.
Okay.
That was where the mill was.
They made boards, and
Yeah.
the other one made shingles, huh?
They had booms on the lake, and they'd feed the sluice there. And there'd be a chain, and it would feed that into the mill.
Okay.
And there was a sawyer, the one that would cut the logs into boards,
Okay.
and on down the line.
So they came. These logs came right off the lake into this mill. And there were
It's
2,000 people, huh?
Oh yeah. In the spring of the year, they had those logs piled along the lake, the bank of the lake, and they'd move a few of the logs and they'd roll by in the water.
Oh yeah.
We used to go underneath there and play hide and seek. That was a
Hey,
dangerous
boy,
thing.
oh boy.
Oh, we didn't know the dangers, you know.
Yeah.
That's when George Quigley came to town. The people were stealing after the mill closed down. They were selling the brass fittings to Nightingale in Fort Fairfield. Old Nightingale would give him a few cents a pound for that stuff, and the people would go and cut those hoses and just to get the brass fittings and stuff. So the people that owned the mill there, Quigley came from Canada. See?
Grand Falls, I think, huh?
Yeah. And he moved there with his wife. I think she was O'Regan. And they stayed in the house, in the bungalow that the mill owned. They didn't have to buy a house or anything. That house was furnished for them. He was the overseer. Make sure that...
You know the name of that company? Who owned that?
One time there was an outfit from Berlin, New Hampshire. I don't recall I don't know the name of it, really.
So how did Quigley come to Fort Kent and start a store? Was that
Because after the mills closed down, there was no work there, hardly. What did little Don there, he was in the high chair, and his mother would feed him a baked potato every night, and that smelled so good. That was where I dropped my last paper.
Oh, I see.
And I'd see that little man there, and it's bonhomme, and chaise haute. Puis sa mère, ça sentait bon dans l'hiver.
Ouais.
I'd go home. My mother, she had hired girls all the time. She never had to do washing. She didn't wash our clothes. Or
Well,
anything.
people used to do that. They used to have hired girls.
Yeah, the mason, no. Our clothing was done outside the house. My brother Reginald and I, we'd take it there on Sunday night.
Oh, they wouldn't even do it at your house.
We'd take it at Harry Mason. Harry Mason was where the centrale was, where the telephone.
Okay.
And Mrs. Mason, she'd do our washing. She'd iron the stuff for us. On avait des grosses cuves, nous autres, moi puis Guillaume, on emmenait ça là. Puis lundi soir, là, it was delivered to our house. All our clothes was all ironed and pressed.
Your mother was a postmistress. Okay,
Yes,
so she didn't have time to do that.
No. And she had to supervise the hired girl. She had a hired girl too. And my mother
Lived in the house.
Yeah.
In your house.
Yeah. And Mom was a home economics. She taught that, and she was a good cook. She learned all those dishes down in Puerto Rico, and showed all the neighborhood how to
Oh, yeah.
Spanish rice and all.
You say your parents were how many years in Puerto Rico? 65? Just a couple of years.
My father stayed a little longer to finish his book. My father wrote a book on education in Puerto Rico.
Now, why did he go there again?
Well, the
The governor, yes. Okay.
the United States took possession
Yeah.
of Cuba and Puerto Rico from Spain, and they
Yeah.
wanted them to speak English too.
Okay. So, some of the states furnished educators or something, and he went down there. So Eagle Lake, though, right now there's about what is it? Not even 900 people, I don't imagine. Huh?
Terrible.
How about Winterville and Quimby? Was that more populated than it is now?
No, it's very small. It stayed that way too.
So it never was
See,
bigger.
The hotel they had
They had a hotel in Eagle Lake?
4,
Four.
3 or 4, and restaurants, big one, and boarding houses. There was 3 or 4, and you know all the young girls from Wallagrass, and they were waitresses and chambermaids and whatnot years ago.
What do you know about the Michaud camps at the other end of the
Well,
lake?
that's my mother's brother, not brother, a cousin, Saul.
Saul Michaud.
Saul Michaud. I know I have a pamphlet of them, but I can't put my hands on it.
Now, do you remember that this Michaud camp?
Oh,
that
yes.
People came from all over to.
That's why, yeah. Benny Goodman, Paul Whiteman, those big Manly, the people, we were ignorant. We didn't know who they were, but that's who they were.
They came there.
Yes, in the summer. And the only way in and out of there was by boat at the time.
So you came by train from Boston
Yeah,
or wherever.
There'd be someone at the camp to meet you on the train, and they'd take you on the camps. Had a big boat, and they'd take the sports on place of des sports.
Des sports.
Ouais. Puis maman donnait le job à mon père. And then you put it the job then, là. He'd go there, you know, those people from Pennsylvania and all that. And Dad was really too
Charitable?
charitable.
Yeah.
He'd give him half the garden almost. Ma said, you got a big family to feed here too. Remember? And she stand me showing, Mama. You didn't step on her toes too much, you know. She could tell you off. And Ernie Michaud, Saul bought the land in Florida for her. My mother gave him the money. She wanted the land, and I ended up with it after.
In Florida?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They were selling land, you know, but not the kind that, you know, they got swindled a lot of people.
Yeah.
But Saul used to go there every year, and he knew people there. And Ma had him buy a couple residential lots.
In Florida. Now this Michaud camp there, let's say you're from Philadelphia. You come up there and you spend the summer there?
They'd a few weeks, a month sometimes. Some of them more wealthy, they'd spend it. Some would spend the whole summer. They had tennis court there.
Is that right?
Oh, yes.
Tennis courts?
Yeah. And they had several camps. There was about 8 to 10 individual camp that, you know,
Yeah.
a party of 2 or 3 could stay in.
Well,
And the
this-
main dining room
Yeah.
was
Still there. Still there, but
with a nice big fireplace out of stone.
yeah, it's still there. It's been repaired a little bit, but not too much.
Saul was a nice person, you know.
So this lasted quite a few years. This Michaud camp business,
Yeah.
huh?
And his wife was a Bellefleur.
Oh yeah.
I think she came from Sac.
Now, what brought you back to Fort Kent anyway? You've been here 12 years, you say?
Well, I was working at the meat packing, and I worked at the postal for 19 years.
Post office?
Yes,
Where is that?
in Hartford.
Hartford.
I was a hot shot in Hartford, you know. When I was in the meat packing, I'd drive those refrigerator trucks. And I'd go into any store, and they knew me. They thought I owned the business. I said, no, I'm just one of the workers there. But I says, I know the ins and outs of the business. I used to, the school kids would come, I'd give them a run through the factory, show them how liverwurst, hot dogs, and I'd give them a treat after. I'd take them onto one of the counters. But I says, I had a lot of moxie then. I'd be on the phone calling those store owners from New Britain, Manchester, Wethersfield, name it, all around. And we'd even go in Springfield, Mass. And I made deliveries with those refrigerator trucks. If one of the drivers didn't show up, see, we had 5 or 6 drivers. One was sick or something. I pitched it.
What's the name of the company you were working for?
Grote and Weagle. Grote. Grote. Wiggle. I'll show you.
I never heard of that.
Yeah.
Does that still exist?
Yeah, and I'd say Grunt and Wiggle.
Oh, yeah.
The girl just died. They were 3 millionaires there that owned the place.
And they were German.
German. They started making bologna and hot dogs in the bathtub.
Mais,
Yeah, and they have a picture on the wall there, 1893, the same year my mother was born, 1893. And I'd show the kids that in school, you know, they'd go, say, there's the picture when Mr. Grote and Mr. Wiggle started the business in Rockville, Connecticut.
in the bathtub.
They mix that like you mix a cake.
Yeah. C'était des liverwursts, ça? C'était quoi, ça?
Liverwurst or hot dog or yeah.
So most sausages from Germany, is that where they originate?
Bavaria,
Poland?
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, German.
Poland too, you got the
Yeah.
sausage
Yeah,
there.
the section there.
So what brought you back to
You
Fort
want
Kent?
a
You,
drink of juice?
huh?
You want a drink of juice, orange juice?
No.
I
Okay.
just got a gallon of it. I feel kind of...
Yeah, well maybe we'll... Vous avez là, là?
That's the likeness of the Queen, Marie Antoinette.
Oh, Marie Antoinette in France.
Yeah, and this came from the Palace of Versailles where she lived.
Oh.
And this is where she put her parasol, the parapluie, the umbrella.
Okay.
See, that's
She
a
hooked,
likeness.
she hooked that on the...
Yeah.
Oh, well, oh yeah, okay.
See a string or a cord, and
Well, that's a
that's her. That's
couple of hundred years old, huh?
Oh boy, look the beautiful handwriting. Those French were good. That I bought that at one of the shops. See, it's like I don't know if I can show you.
Huh. Now this lamp here, you're saying ça vient de l'église, ça, à Eagle Lake, tu dis?
See, say that was an umbrella. So you'd put it on there. See. Yeah. Okay. But that's a shoehorn, but.
Yeah. That's what you use it for.
Yeah. This I bought in Paris. $200. That little.
Holy boy.
Look over there too. In Eagle Lake.
So how old would what year was that, do you think, that he built a church in
1905.
in Wallagrass
Yeah.
and Eagle Lake?
Yeah. In 1907.
Father Marc who?
Yeah. And there's my
Oh.
mother, 2 months old, with her father. Look, they had wooden shoes. No, they looked like.
Puis lui, il s'appelait comment encore? What was her father's name?
Albert.
Albert Michaud?
Not bad. Well, he went for Norbert. Norbert or Albert, either one.
Holy gee, that's old, this picture, huh?
Yeah.
1992?
Yeah.
This picture, yeah.
That's the year my mother was born. And this is Uncle Larry's mother, Julie Fournier.
Okay.
And the daughter was a nun. See, that's the handwriting.
Now, this picture here, Mr. Fournier, right here, là, il est dur à voir un petit peu, là. Là, sur le top, là, what is that? Il y a un joual?
Well, it's embroidered. It's
It looks like a...
Oriental. Yeah, because it's got a thing.
Okay. Ben, je vais pas le faire le descendre, I can see it.
It's like the Persia.
It's like Persia, yeah.
Yeah.
Now, where is that from?
That's needlework. That's fancy needlework.
Oh, that's needlework.
Yeah, I bought that years ago. I don't know what are the sales are. My sister went to France and she gave me
Ça
that.
vient de Persia, c'est tu dis?
Yeah,
What is it, a pin?
it says on it,
It's made out of copper?
it signifies the life road. It's a Kyrgyzstan, I believe. How did I have this? Honey.
Oh, well. Where'd you get that?
I found them along the lakes.
You mean the Indians used to use this for money?
Sure. Wampo.
Ah.
Look, the shape of a heart.
That's all right. So you collect rocks and you collect...
There's a banana.
Il y a toutes sortes de shapes, hein?
Ouais.
Huh.
Name it.
Ça, c'est...
No, that's from Hartford. But there's a heart, a white one.
Huh.
But wait till you see here. The bug in there.
This is from Kentucky, you say, huh?
The caves of Kentucky.
Huh. Attends, prends la liste, là, voilà.
Huh.
And this one, this is a rock that's perfectly round.
Yeah. I got several of those
It looks like a
in the summer.
cannonball.
Yeah.
Oh, well, let's see if I can get this. I just can't focus on it. It's an arrowhead.
Arrowhead.
Yeah.
The catapult. You know, they threw that over the moats.
A catapult. Where?
The kings and queen, they'd be in their palace.
Oh, yeah.
It's a catapult.
Oh.
What do you mean, the big picture?
This one here is,
This is...
where's that from? Huh?
She looks like, I don't know if you remember Barbara Stanwyck. I bought this in Rome, but it's Spanish. The Curtis. He's listed in the books of painters in Europe, you know. I got,
How old is that picture?
Perhaps 100 and something, 125.
Wow.
You know, Ted Williams' girlfriend, Joanne Naby. You know Joanne Naby?
Yeah.
She wants this. She likes this. This is from, I bought that in Pennsylvania. I paid $175.
That's a weather vane.
Weather vane.
And
these chairs are antique too. Those chairs go. I've seen them in the book there. You know, what is it? Oh, some tape.
you have antique chairs.
Antique chairs. Oh, c'est pas même des toothpicks. Des
Ah, les pattes, hein?
pattes, ça.
Yeah.
$25,000 I see it in the antique book. The same thing. And look at that one. That's brass wheel. And look at all the hand carving. I had them all upholstered again in Hartford. And this I did myself. I sandpapered, and that was at the camp, and it was a wreck. And I had it upholstered. See all the fancy work on it?
Oh, comment est-ce qu'ils appellent ça? C'est un couch?
Love seat.
Love seat, yeah.
See, these things, I should take that all out of there. I got to get myself a young witch, a young girl to come and clean up for me. See, somebody bought me this book, Tom Brokaw.
Oh, yeah. My son bought me the same book.
And, you know, my Linda Pinette's boy was in the Blue Angel, you know. Did you know that? And they gave me, I'll show you the picture. Steve, is it?
Et le garçon à Linda?
What?
Linda Fournier qui est mariée avec John Pinette, là. The Blue Angel is navy?
Yeah.
This is... Comment est-ce qu'il s'appelle?
Steve.
Steve Pinette.
Pinette. From Fort Kent, Maine.
Attends, voilà. À cette heure, c'est Standish qui reste à cette heure, Standish, Maine. This is Linda Fournier's son, married to John Sear.
John Pinette.
John Pinette, excuse-moi. Je me mêle tout le temps, moi, avec ça, là.
It's all right. I do, too.
And he's a pilot in the Blue Angels, which is a...
And that's him here directing the plane on deck.
Oh,
the
yeah.
aircraft carrier.
Look at those planes. I want to know what brought you back to Fort Kent, to the area. You retired, quite?
My home, yes. I had open heart surgery
Oh, you did?
twice. In 82 and in 92. Right to the date.
Oh, yeah?
September 22nd in 1982. I was still with the postal. And I had the camp here at the, but the one at Long Lake I got rid of. I sold it to the guy from Caribou that is like Quigley. Willie?
Okay,
PL.
Willie.
P.L. Willie.
Wow.
He bought my camp at Long Lake and he built himself a nice place there. That was a good spot. That was old Uncle Larry's place.
Oh, yeah.
And then the doctor, the team of doctor at St. Francis Hospital in Hartford said, "You're good for 10 years." And right to the date, I drove to Hartford myself and I had to take those nitro. And I couldn't, it wasn't very effective. But I made it. Sunday morning I got in the hospital. I went ahead of everyone. They operated right.
C'était le temps.
Sunday morning. So it was right the same date, September 22nd, and 92. The other was 82. Now I overwent that. I'm over the 2000.
Wow.
22 now.
So is this when you moved, right after that, you moved here? Quite?
Well, in 82 I moved here.
Oh, you did?
And yeah, I said no more work. I'm going to take an early retirement. I don't care about the money or anything. I said I had enough stocks and
Oh, yeah.
stuff, you know. So I said, well, I'll live just the same. So then I said to myself, when I get older, I better get something in town. So I made the right move. I got this right away. I said,
Oh, is that right?
yeah. Louis Albert is the one that sold me the camp. He didn't have a license or anything, but he was chum with Pere Hure.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So you bought Father, you still have that camp?
Yes. I have friends staying there, and they're taking care of the place. Look, you'd think I was the old man. This is the wedding we went in Connecticut.
C'est ça, non?
Ben, c'est Tammy, Dallagash, Tammy McBride. Eh? This is and look how nice the trees. This is Travis. You know Travis, he's the coach.
Travis Delisle.
Well, he coached the girls' team.
That's right. He's got a good team this year,
Yeah,
too.
well, he's staying at the camp. Him and yeah. You'd think I was a father. Look, that's a little bambino. But he's a nice little bonhomme.
Ça, c'est le garçon à Travis, ça?
Ouais. Puis
ils
veulent que j'y montre l'espagnol, tu sais.
Ben oui.
They bought me a few books. So I'm going to teach him. If I can.
So you've been here for 20 years?
Oh, yes. 22, I guess.
Ça va pas, moi, là. Well, I just met you about 6 years ago when you were...
I know a lot of people.
You wanted to meet the college president there. Remember that?
Oh, well, yes, I made a donation, but, you know, I give to the girls that are going. I'd rather give it directly. They gave to some girl in Saint Jacques, and from my scholarship.
Yeah.
And I said, well, I like accountability. I like knowing I worked hard for what I have, and I've thrown some away at times. And, you know, like when I was in Spain, kids that never had shoes on their feet, I took 14 of them. And some of them wanted 2 pairs. Let them have it. I took them to their shoe store, and boy, some of them, they really appreciated it. You know?
Yeah.
It made me feel good.
So now you're giving scholarships yourself, directly.
Yeah.
If you find somebody who needs it?
Yeah. My nieces and nephew too.
Yeah.
It comes at home.
Yeah. You'd rather control it
I just
completely.
give my baby sister 100,000.
Oh, yeah?
Cash.
On ne dira pas à personne.
Non.
Non, c'est...
Pas deux affaires. Puis là, they're writing to me, they're sending me pictures of their grandchildren, the kids, you know.
Ouais, mais
You can just do so much.
Yeah.
Not even declare it on my on that too. I got a camcorder, I never use it.
Oh, is that right?
I paid $700 for that thing, and when the battery ran out, forget
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. I know a lot of people that have camcorders, they don't use it. But I do, it's a hobby, you know.
Yeah.
So, your health is pretty good then?
Well, that darn diabète there.
Oh, yeah.
Diabetic. And je m'imaginais des fois, one day there I had inside, but you know, it's like Père Marquis there, he's bloated too.
Why?
When you get a certain age, you don't move around, it's going to happen.
Yeah.
You got to exercise. He's in bed there, he's bedridden like, you know.
In Eagle Lake?
No, well, he was here at the home, but
Oh.
someone said he might have been transferred to.
Well, the last I heard, he was in Eagle Lake
Yeah,
at the nursing home.
possibly. Yeah.
And he has bloating, he bloats up. He's
94.
94, do you want? So you had, you thought you had something there
I
with
got a spell too sometimes. You know, I'm alone. I got no one to give heck to, and no one can give heck to me too much. But I get along pretty good. I do my own cooking, and you know, if I have to shovel, I go. But I'm careful. If I'm tired, I come inside and
yeah,
take a break. You know?
don't overdo it.
My
It's
clothes
good.
freeze up in no time.
Why,
I got
bet?
insulated boots and
Well, probably that's from that
poor circulation.
that thing you got in the army there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, listen, we're all done here. We've been talking to you for a couple of hours.
I appreciate
Here's
that.
Wabang. I'd like to know what this is again here, Stella.
Well, this is
Yeah.
to beat the dust out of a rug.
So this is an antique, huh?
Well, instead of, you know, the ladies, they'd go in the balcony or something, they beat the rug against the...
Okay, so they use that. And I notice here a rug on the floor. C'est Madame Voisine qui a fait ça?
Bertha.
Bertha Voisine.
Yeah.
That's one of her rugs.
Yeah.
Boy, that's nice to stand on that, huh?
Yeah. This is all silver here. This is pure silver, you know. The braid there. And that...
Un épaulette, ça.
Un épaulette, puis ça dit Napoléon, c'est
Ah, yeah.
Bonaparte.
That's from France?
M. Bonaparte, and it's got Paris on there, you see?
Oh, yeah.
It says Paris.
Yeah. Well, I wish you a lot more years in Fort Kent, and
If I took you downstairs without the camera, you'd pass out. I got the butter churn, I got for the wool and everything.
a lot of antiques.
Oh, there's some in there, but I lost a lot at the camp too.
Oh, yeah. Ben, je pense qu'on va aller pelleter, je pense, avant qu'on s'y enterrer.
What?
I would think we've got 6 or 7 inches more.
You think so?